where the countdown to Ironman's Motocross of Nations collides with a transfer market that refuses to sleep. On paper, the Chamberlain Trophy is supposed to be a two-horse race, Australia with the Lawrence brothers polished and ruthless, and the United States armed with Eli Tomac in MXGP and the MX2 firepower of Hayden Deegan. That's the chalk pick. But if you stare at the matchups long enough, a third crest rises behind them, Belgium, young and dangerous, with a real path to factor when the math gets tight in Sunday's Moto3. Lucas Coenen is the axis of that optimism. At just 18, he's already shown raw pace that makes established MXGP titans Tim Geiser, Jeffrey Hurlings, Romain Fevry look over their shoulders, and we've seen him run with Tomac and Prado at Matterley on a 250. He didn't lose a title on speed this year, he lost it on the part that only time can teach. When Coenen is on, the flow and speed fuse into something very few on Earth can answer, and he is one of the near-zero riders who plausibly challenge Jett Lawrence on equal terms in open air. Their first real test might arrive this weekend on U.S. soil, and if it does, no one should be surprised if the teenager holds the line. Belgium's second pillar is Liam Everts, always metronomic, velvet throttle, and quietly lethal in ruts. His 350 cameo at Ernie 2 years ago was a lesson in economy. As a full-time 450 pilot, he should look even more composed, and American fans who haven't seen him in anger will understand quickly why he's trusted to cash points. The third card is Sascha Coenen, smaller in stature but big on starts and audacity. He doesn't lack speed, and his heart drags him to places his rivals would rather not go. Yes, the edge can cut the wrong way, big moments, big risks, but if he launches with Deegan and keeps the errors on a short leash, he can convert chaos into the single-digit scores that keep Belgium in play. Australia and the US still own the favorites' burden. Belgium owns the intrigue. If they arrive at Moto3 within range, their blend of one-lap speed, rut craft, and whole-shot probability makes them the rare dark horse that isn't just a cliché. While race engineers model gate choices for Ironman, contract engineers are redrawing the Premier Class map. Chase Sexton's KTM chapter ended the hard way, launched skyward, stretchered off, and functionally 2 weeks earlier than anyone planned, pushing him toward Kawasaki on a timeline that mirrors the whispers. That vacancy at KTM doesn't stay vacant. In 2026, it belongs to a legend. Eli Tomac to Redbull KTM isn't a bad replacement. It's a statement of intent from a team that only values two currencies: work and wins. The question is not whether Tomac can still go fast. He can. It's how his feel translates to a steel-frame platform built around relentless precision. The mentality fit looks clean. The program demands hard work and high output, and that has been Tomac's identity on 3 brands already: Honda, Kawasaki, Yamaha. If he adapts quickly to the chassis, the bike might actually extend his twilight rather than merely host it. Not everyone is entirely sold. On their show, Adam Cianciarulo and Justin Brayton worked through the pros and cons, with Brayton voicing unease. He'd rather see Tomac stay blue, understands the budget math at Star Racing, respects Ian Harrison and KTM's culture, but still worries about details, from lever feel to clutch actuation, and whether the marginal preferences of a lifetime can be replicated on Orange. Those are fair rider brain objections. Elite pace is ultimately a conversation between fingers, forearms, and feedback, and even tiny changes matter at Tomac speed. The broader picture, though, hints at something structural inside Orange. 3 stars eyeing exits at once, Sexton, Barcia, Viala, is more than coincidence. It's what happens when performance questions blur into confidence questions, when a team can't fix an issue quickly or can't acknowledge it publicly. What begins as setup becomes trust, and trust is the currency that sends riders to new addresses when contracts lapse. Those contracts are indeed expiring, and that liberates each to prioritize tomorrow over triaging today. For Sexton, the logic is obvious. Take green and a #1 mandate. For Tomac, with Yamaha cap space earmarked for Cooper Webb and a 450 deal for Deegan, pivot to the opening orange seat. For Barcia and Viale, the road forks: new teams, new series, or a total reset. Into that vacuum rides something few predicted 5 years ago, a red Italian V-twin stamp on American Supercross. Cole Seeley, former HRC Honda winner, dropped a video of the first Supercross laps on a Ducati and, in one clip, made next season's talking points explode. The bike will be judged when gates drop, not on Instagram, but the symbolism is electric. A new manufacturer committing to SX with proper partners and real resource. Seeley called it one of his favorite two-wheel experiences, and the footage looked right, composed, lively, and very much like a machine that wants to blitz rhythms, not just circulate them. The rumor mill has done the rest. The strongest whispers say Troy Lee Designs will front the Ducati entry with two names who make instant sense. Justin Barcia, whose history with TLD and appetite for development align with what a new project needs, and Dylan Ferrandis, a technician whose feel and feedback are gold when every ride is data. There were early linkages to Ken Roczen and Malcolm Stewart, but the weight of chatter keeps settling back on Barcia and Ferrandis for 2026. Until the press releases drop, call it probable rather than certain, but the direction of travel is unmistakable. A serious brand with a serious operation intends to be competitive, not decorative. Pull the threads together and the sport looks exactly like itself. Ruthless, kinetic, and always 2 moves ahead. At Ironman, the US and Australia are the teams everyone expects to be arguing over silverware when the roost settles. Belgium is the team that can ruin neat predictions if Lucas Coenen lights the fuse and his teammates make good on their skill sets. In the transfer lane, Sexton leaves KTM early and lands where the brief fits his speed. Tomac prepares to wear orange and add a 4th brand to his title resume if adaptation goes to plan. A trio of departures at KTM underline that technical friction becomes organizational if it lingers. And Ducati's first SX laps signal that the grid will be louder, deeper, and more political in 2026. None of those conclusions changes the core truth that decides titles and careers alike. Whether you're a teenager chasing Jett Lawrence into a left-hander, a veteran learning a new frame at 31, or a factory taking its first rhythm lane in anger, the winners will be the ones who turn volatility into advantage and keep the mistakes smaller than the moment. Sunday's third moto, January's first gate, and a red bike's first heat race all ask the same question. Who can be fast enough, clean enough, long enough, when there are no more excuses left to make?